Fight for your right to open mic, Chapter 2. After a shower and change of clothes, Nige picked up his instrument and used the tuner while the valve amp warmed up. He strummed A and D major bar chords for his rendition of Atmosphere by Joy Division. Stopping his playing before the amp emitted any sound, he flicked through his notebook of lyrics and notes. The room downstairs at the back of the house faces north and receives little natural light at this time of the day. It had been designated as his space following Marcus moving out after finishing university. He lived nearby now and had started various jobs and ventures. Sophia was still at university an hour away. Blowing his cheeks, Nige muttered to himself, "It's quiet without anyone around." Changing his mind about Atmosphere, he tuned down top E to D sharp, ready for Yellow by Coldplay. Altering the tone to give more bass, he started on an open B bar chord. After changing to F sharp, he let his left hands shift to the root E chord and used an open hand strumming method. Returning to the B on the 7th fret, he started singing. After the first verse, Nige let the chord ring out. A tear crept into his left eye. He inhaled for 2 seconds and let out a breath. Switching the tuner device on, he retuned the top E string that had gone flat. Flinging his face to the ceiling, he admonished himself, "Nige, Nige, Nige, you've got to stick to the plan. Right, sing your own song." He grunted. "No! Sing at normal volume. Project! Project! You know you can do it, Nige. You know you can." Taking off his electric Gordon Smith, he picked up his electro-acoustic and slipped his head through the leather guitar strap bought for him by Sophia. Taking a part of the strap between his fingers and thumb, he stroked the material. Positioning his fingers on a root E minor 7th, Nige strummed up and down before changing his pattern to a rhythmic beat. He closed his eyes, switched to D major, then C9 before moving back to E minor 7th. Opening his eyes, he started to sing. I can never say you stole my eye. I can never mind if you're not mine. Sitting here alone, it does me in. Stopping strumming, he picked up his notebook and flipped through a few pages. Picking up a pen, he crossed out "sitting" and scribbled "standing" next to it. He resumed with a stronger voice. Standing here alone, it does me in. All my dreams of you unrealized. His left hand switched to a full C major chord before moving to G. When my world collides with yours inside. With the G major chord ringing out, Nige picked up the pen and wrote "Life above world." He resumed. When my life collides with yours inside, I feel it's time. Looking at his right hand, Nige experimented resting his hands on the strings to eliminate a tapping noise that had started. Okay, he muttered to himself. You can do Lose It All with your eyes closed, literally, so don't worry about that one. You've known how to play it ever since. His voice trailed off. He swapped back to the Gordon Smith guitar. Tuning top E back to its normal note, he splayed his right hand over the strings on a 12th fret open E bar chord. and belted out the opening to Dakota. Changing his strumming rhythm, he slowed down and found the pattern he had played many times before. Looking up from strumming, he focused on his Fender, hung on the new holder he had put up a few weeks ago. He swapped guitars and tried the same chord pattern and rhythm, before starting to sing at the top of his voice. After the first verse, he noticed the tapping noise had returned. Frowning, he fiddled with the pickup selector and turned all the control knobs. Right, he told himself, start with Dakota. Turning a page, he picked up the pen. No, always start with... His voice trailed off. He swapped guitar again to the Gordon Smith. His left hand formed the A bar chord on the 5th fret. Caressing the strings with his right hand, he smiled for a few seconds. Breathing out, he eased his left hand to D, then 12th fret E to D, and then smoothed back to A. In an unrestrained manner, he sang the opening lines of Atmosphere. Smashing his right hand through the strings and unfurling all his fingers in a steady pulsing manner, he howled, "Ah, that feels so good!" The chord rang out and he picked up his pen again. "Phew," he exclaimed, "that's a relief." Looking at the amp, the tapping noise had ceased, but now there was a chiming bell. It didn't sound like it was coming from the amp. Releasing his pen before writing anything, he launched into the verse of Dakota, whilst crunching the A bar chord that crescended to 12th fret E during the chorus. A thudding noise cut across Nigel's voice. Duh, 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 duh. It stopped for a few seconds and then resumed. Nige flicked off the amp and checked his watch. Taking off his guitar, he made his way to the front door. A tall figure holding a bundle loomed through the obscured glass of the front porch. He unlocked the porch front door. The young man, cradling a baby in his arms, spat out, "Do you mind?" Nige hesitated, frowned and squinted his eyes. "Are you okay?" he inquired. "No, I am not," spurted the baby cradler. "I've just managed to get Sebastian off to sleep, and then that racket started," he snarled. "Goodness gracious, I thought this was a good neighbourhood." Stepping back, Nige found his voice. "It is, or, well, used to be." His lips curled to one side. He took a step back and placed his left hand on the door's edge. He smiled. "I'm sorry," he started. "Can I help you? Do I know you?" "Yes, you can help me," Sebastian's father growled. "As your neighbour, I ask, no, I demand you keep it down during the day when Sebastian has his nap, okay? It's bad enough during the day with all the traffic on the road," he grumbled. Looking at the road, Nige observed cars passing in both directions. "It's always like this. It's close to the end of the working day. People are on their way home," he stated. "It's a moderately busy road during the working day, quiet in the evening." "Look," declared the young man. "I'm Henry. Amelia and I, we moved in a few months ago, and we would appreciate you keeping the noise to a minimum during the day when Sebastian needs his sleep. Okay?" Wobbling his head, he glared. "Nice to meet you too, Henry. I'm Nige, or Nigel to you," asserted Nige. "If you don't mind, I've got some rehearsing to do. If you want my advice, take Sebastian out in the car. That'll soon have him off to sleep. Failing that, drug him. Liquid paracetamol. Cheers now." And he closed the door. Henry rapped the front door as Nige turned round. Turning, he saw Henry peering through the window with his finger to pursed lips. Nige pulled his little and first finger into the horns gesture. Henry looked at his hand before turning round and stomping off. "Charming," murmured Nige. Returning to the room, he switched on the smart speaker, connected his phone, adjusted to a loud volume, and picked up his notebook. The opening guitar riff started up on the speaker. "Probably doesn't even like the Smiths," grumbled Nige. "Probably never heard of them." After writing down the 3 songs for the open mic, he turned up the volume. Jumped up! He spat out and started to sing along about not having anything to wear. Frowning as he left the room, he switched the music off. He went upstairs, opened his wardrobe and pulled out a clothes drawer. Closing his eyes, he exhaled. 4 shirts and 3 t-shirts adorned the bed. Nige slipped on a pair of relaxed fit jeans. The waist button needed forcing through the hole. Pulling the jeans off, he picked up a different pair, put them on and rummaged through the rail in his wardrobe. He leafed through the clothes rail searching for something. Replacing the jeans, he alighted upon a blue polo shirt. After seeing the red insignia, he replaced it and continued searching. An olive green shirt was unhooked from the rail, and he puckered his lips. Ripping off his white t-shirt with the faded Oasis lettering, he started humming Wonderwall. Couldn't possibly wear that, he chanted to himself. I'd never live it down. Picking up the olive shirt, he groaned, oh, blimmin' hell, all the buttons are done up. I've obviously never worn it. After struggling to undo the top 3 buttons and only managing 2, Nige started forcing it over his head and through his shoulders. The shirt shoulders got stuck at his neck as he twisted his torso and wiggled. As his ears emerged, Nige heard the doorbell ring repeatedly. Binga, 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 binga. All right, I'm coming, he yelled, as his left arm started to become liberated and his head emerged through the neck. Clomping down the stairs, he extricated his left arm and entered the porch. The doorbell continued unabating. Opening the door, his right shoulder slipped through the arm of the shirt and the back of the collar trapped in his mouth. He started speaking. What for ma? Are you Nigel? Asked the frowning young woman. Nige extricated his mouth from the collar. It would seem so. Anyway, she continued, I told Henry not to come around, not before we're all properly introduced, and anyway, not to complain about noise, seeing as we're probably making a lot of noise, what with Bassie making a lot of noise, you know, crying all the time, and making all that sort of baby noise, and so I said, Henry, you really can't be going around there and making a commotion of yourself, it really won't do. Nige raised his eyebrows. Oh, he started, it's, I'm so sorry, she blurted, and then gulped for a few moments. Oh my word, Nige soothed. It's really not a problem. It really isn't. I'm so sorry. It doesn't matter. Are you all right? You must be Amelia? I'm Nige. And Sue, my wife. She's not here right now. She's Sue. She's called Sue, that is. Amelia looked nervous and responded, I'm fine, we're fine. It's okay. Putting her hands in front of her, she took a step back. She peered into the door window to catch a reflection and wiped a trail of mascara from her eye. Oh God, how embarrassing, she mumbled. Just embarrassing, the whole thing. Henry, me, Sebastian, coming round here, blubbing. I just meant to come round and apologise. It's embarrassing, my mascara running. I didn't even know you had a baby, Nige babbled. Really? She questioned. What? I can't hear a thing. Through the walls, that is. He shuffled his feet and pulled the collar down to clear his chin and neck. Not that I would be listening at the walls or anything, he added, because, Amelia chuckled. Sorry, can I ask you something? It might be a bit personal. Nige looked apprehensive. She continued. Why are you wearing your shirt backwards? Am I? Exclaimed Nige. It's supposed to be like this. He shook his head. It doesn't fit properly. I think I'll take it off. Not right here. That would be. He smoothed the shirt on his chest and unruffled the sleeves. Hey, don't worry about it. What, the backward shirt? Questioned Amelia. Nice chuckle. No, I mean, don't worry about it. Any of it. Henry, the complaining. Not that you're not complaining. You're not, definitely not complaining. He inhaled for 2 seconds and exhaled. Smiling, Amelia asked, You okay? He nodded. She pouted. Sure? Completely sure. Just got a few things on my mind at the moment. Like working out how to put shirts on properly? She beamed. It's supposed to be like this, he announced. Hey, Look, tell Henry it's not a problem, not an issue. It really isn't. It's hard with little kids, babies. I'm sorry if I made too much noise. I know what it's like, babies and kids, and all the hassles, the sleep deprivation. Oh my word, the sleep deprivation. But having children is amazing. Amelia fumbled with her hands. Thank you. I wish we could have met properly on better terms. I don't usually, get upset. I don't know what came over me. Stepping forward, he proffered his hand. Nige, he announced. Nige and Sue. She's not here, obviously. You've already told me that, she tittered. Nige's mouth formed a small O shape and he opened his eyes. Oh yes, he exclaimed. I'm such a div. Amelia frowned. A diva? She questioned. A div. I'm a complete div. He held up his hands and asked, where are my manners? Do you and Henry and Sebastian want to come round for a cup of tea? Oh, no, she remonstrated. That's very kind. We couldn't possibly impose. Stepping back and holding her hands together, she declared, that's so nice of you. Maybe some other time? It's so nice to hear. Thank you. Never mind. She looked to the road, over at her house, and then back to Nige. It's really nice to meet you, Nige. And I hope to meet your wife, Sue? He nodded. Very soon. In the meantime, I'd better get back. Husband, baby, all that stuff. She pulled a flat smile. See ya. Good luck with practicing. She looked at her clenched right hand and unfurled her first and little finger. Glancing up at Nige, she flipped her hand in his direction. Stopping, she scrunched her face and curled her first finger while releasing her thumb. It's the shaka, she told him through clenched teeth, and pumped her shaka sign with a little wiggle in Nige's direction. Much better than the horns, she announced. Keep playing. I'm going now, she said, and made her way back next door. Closing the door behind him, Nige battled with the shirt for a minute until shedding himself of the item. He leaned back against the door and sighed. Good going, Nige. Good going.